This video will consider the history of the Ottoman Empire from 1700 to 1815. We'll use the Sultans as our skeleton, to which we're going to affix some key events as we see during this period a relative to what's to come slight upswell of modernization making its way into the more traditional Ottoman system. We'll also see some extensive military engagements with Russia, much of it not going well. And we'll close with the Ottoman Empire only too happy to see Russia distracted by Napoleon's forces as 1815 passed. Like, subscribe, support links in the description, we're in. Sultan Mustafa II rules the Ottoman Empire in 1700, with the Ottomans only having just 3 years prior signing the Treaty of Karlowitz, ending their control over part of Central Europe and also partially prompting Mustafa's overthrow in the Edirne event of 1703. Ahmed III took over as Sultan. 1718 saw the signing of the Treaty of Passarowitz, and the peaceful era that lasted from then until the revolt and Ahmed's deposition in 1730 is named after Ahmed's love of tulips and is called the Tulip Era. Just before Ahmed's deposition, 1729 saw the publication of the first book of the first Muslim printing press in the empire, though non-Muslim ones had existed prior and printing Islamic religious texts wasn't allowed, remaining forbidden until 1803. Ahmed's nephew, Mahmud I, became Sultan next, and the empire saw the start of the Russo-Turkish War in 1735, ending under the Treaty of Belgrade and the Treaty of Nis in 1729, in which the Ottomans recovered Belgrade and gave the Russians the right to a non-fortified port at Azov. From there on, peace was had for some time, on through the end of Mahmud's sultanship in 1754, when Osman III became sultan for a mere 3 years, dying in 1757. Osman was succeeded by Mustafa III, and while he was sultan, peace fell apart when Russia decided to start flexing across the border, and Mustafa III declared war on Russia in response in 1768. While this war effort would see some attempts at military modernization, including the 1773 founding of the Naval Engineering School, the war went disastrously for the Ottoman Empire. The war ended with the Treaty of Küçük-Kaynarca in 1774, which gave the Crimean Khanate its independence from the Ottomans, leaving them informally now under Russia, who would formalize this relationship with their annexation of Crimea in 1783. Mustafa's sultanship would end in 1774 when he died of a heart attack, and his brother Abdülhamid I followed as sultan and saw further misfortune at the hands of the Russians, when Russia declared war after Ottoman demands that they leave the Crimea. This war outlasted Abdülhamid I, who died in 1789, upon which Selim III took over and the Treaty of Jassy was signed in 1792, formally recognizing Russia's claims on Crimea and further land besides. Serbia rebelled in 1804, initially calling for self-government while remaining within the empire, and soon thereafter they began calling for full independence. 1806 saw the start of another Russo-Turkish war, then Selim got deposed in 1807 by the conservative and self-protective Janissaries in the face of Selim's attempts at modernizing the Ottoman military. There was a brief sultanship of Selim's cousin, Mustafa IV, before his deposition in 1808 when Mahmud II became sultan, and in 1812 the war started in 1806 with Russia, ended in the Treaty of Bucharest with marginal losses for the Ottomans. Despite the war not going well for the Ottomans, they got off easy, as Russia was distracted with Napoleon's troops coming to their doorstep. This also ended Russia's support for Serbia, which saw the Ottomans take over again, and the Second Serbian Uprising picked up in 1815, gaining partial independence from the Ottomans. Mahmud II remained as Sultan as 1815 came and went. The coming century would see the Ottoman Empire increasingly threatened, but at the same time increasingly modernized, which corresponded to an increase in power both within and without. We'll turn to that at some point, but first, another great empire of the time, the Safavids of Iran, and what happens after their fall, beckons.